Hello my dear friends, how are you all? I hope you all are fine. So my dear friends, you are very welcome in a lecture number 2 of coordinate geometry. So my dear friends, I hope you will enjoy this lecture. So without wasting the time, let's start. Yes. So today we are going to discuss about Cartesian plane. So most important topic is that Cartesian plane. So in this, my dear friends, we are going to discuss about the Cartesian plane. What is Cartesian plane? Types of Cartesian plane. Okay, and what are the coordinates? Coordinate plane. Okay, so these types of all these things are we are going to discuss in this lecture. Okay, so as you know, my dear friends, we have two axes. We have what? We have two axes. So one is horizontal axis and one is vertical axis. So all about these things we are going to discuss in this lecture. Okay, yes. So now my dear friends, let's see what is Cartesian plane. So my dear friends, here if you see this is a plane. This is a plane. In this there are two axes and these two axes are perpendicular to each other. Okay, these two axes are perpendicular to each other. Okay my dear friends, so this is the number line. So we can say that this is what this is. Yes, this is x-axis. Okay, and this is y-axis. This is what? Y-axis. So my dear friends, here is, we can call this line as, we can also call it as latitude. Okay, and this line is also called as longitude. What is longitude? I hope my dear friends you understand these things. Okay, so this is x-axis and this is y-axis. Okay, and whole system is called as coordinate plane. What is coordinate plane or Cartesian plane? Okay, I hope my dear friends you understand these things. So this is what? This is coordinate geometry. This is what? This is coordinate geometry. All these things we discussed later in this lecture. Okay, so we are talking about these coordinates. Okay, so what is x coordinate, what is y coordinate, what is the other names of x coordinate, what is the other name of y coordinate. So all these things we will learn in this lecture. Okay, and this is what? This is origin. Here the coordinates are 0, 0. I hope my dear friends you understand these things. Okay, now how to plot the lines, how to plot the points. So all these things we will learn in this chapter. Okay my dear friends, I hope you understand these things. Yeah, so now let's move on. Yes, so now my dear friends, what is a coordinate and a coordinate plane? What is a coordinate and a coordinate plane? Okay, so now let's see that. So now my dear friend, you must be familiar with plotting graphs on a plane. Okay, from the table of number of both linear and non-linear equations. Okay, the number line which is known as the Cartesian plane, the number line which is known as the Cartesian plane is divided into four quadrants of by two perpendicular axes. By what? By two perpendicular axes, like this, as we discussed earlier. So they are what? They are, yeah, these two lines are perpendicular to each other. These two lines are what? Perpendicular to each other. Okay, and this is, we know that this is x-axis. Okay, and it is also called latitude, or it is also called horizontal line. Horizontal line. Okay, and this is what? This is y-axis. This is y-axis. This is also called longitude, and it is also called vertical line. What is vertical also called what? Vertical lines. So my dear friends, this is what? This is our coordinate plane. This is our coordinate plane. Now if you talk about the coordinates, what are the coordinates? Now let's suppose we are plotting a point. Let's suppose this is here. Okay. And here is 1, 2, 3. And here is 1, 2, 3. And this point is what? This point is 2, 2. And this is x in this is 2 in x direction and 2 in y direction. Okay. So my dear friends, this is what? This is the coordinates. This is what? This is the coordinates. Okay. So we will discuss all these points, okay, in this lecture. Okay. So here just seeing the examples like this. Okay. Now let's see the Cartesian system, which we earlier see. Okay. Now my dear friends, in this case, as we know that this is what? This is x-axis, this is y-axis, this is x-axis, and this is y-axis. This is the origin point. This is what? This is the origin. This is the origin. Okay. This is also called horizontal line. This is also called latitudes. We can call it as also latitude. This is also called vertical lines. This is also called longitude. Okay. I hope you get this point, my dear friends. So now my dear friends, so this Cartesian system or Cartesian coordinate system or coordinate system is used to locate the position of any point. Is used to locate the position of any point, and that point can be plotted on the order pair like this. That points we are plotted like this. Let's suppose we have a point P. Okay. So that point can be plotted as an ordered pair like x comma y, like x comma y. So this is what? Yeah, so this is the coordinates. This is the coordinates. Okay. I hope my dear friends you understand these things. What is coordinates? Yes. So my dear friends, here is x-axis and here is y-axis. Okay. And the point of intersection of these two axes are known as origin. Are known as what? Origin. So the coordinates on the origin is always 0, 0. What is 0, 0? I hope my dear friends you understand these things. So now my dear friends, the coordinate plane, this coordinate plane is also known as two-dimensional plane. Is also known as two-dimensional plane. Okay. And this x-axis is named as x dash y dash, x dash y dash. Okay. I hope you get this point. So now here is, after this is the origin, in the side of, in the, if we move right side, if we move right side in after the origin, so we get the positive direction, we get the positive number. So this is what? This is positive x-axis. This is what? This is positive x-axis. And here if we move in the left direction, so this is what? This is negative x-axis. Negative x-axis, because all the numbers are negative. And if we move from the origin in the upward direction, so this is what? This is positive y-axis. Positive y-axis. And if we move downward direction from the origin, so this is negative y-axis. Negative y-axis. Okay. I hope my dear friends you understand these things. So what is positive x-axis? What is negative x-axis? what is positive y-axis and what is negative y-axis. And now my dear friends, in this coordinate points, in these coordinates, here is, let's suppose we have a point P and coordinates are x comma y. Coordinates are x comma y. So my dear friends, we can say that this is what? This is x coordinate. X coordinate. Okay. And this is what? This is y coordinate. Y coordinate. Okay. This is x coordinate. This is y coordinate. Okay. Now it is also called as abscissa. Okay. This is also called as abscissa. Okay. So now my dear friends, what is abscissa? In this system of coordinates, the distance from a point to the vertical or y-axis measured parallel to the horizontal or x-axis. Okay, or we can say that this is x coordinate. Okay, so now what is the other name of y coordinate? So the other name of y coordinate is ordinate. What is ordinate? So this is what? This is the distance from the point to the horizontal or x-axis. Like this, let's suppose this is our x-axis or horizontal line. Okay, and this is our y-axis and vertical line. So my dear friends, this is y-axis and this is x-axis. So let's suppose this is a point P. So the distance, this distance from the distance of a point from the vertical line means from the y-axis is what? This is the distance x. Okay, this distance is x, and this is known as abscissa. And this distance, this is the distance of point from the y-axis, means vertical distance. So this is what? This is y coordinates, means this is ordinates. Okay, this is ordinates. Okay my dear friends, I hope you get this point. So my dear friends, so that we can write here x comma y. What is x comma y? So my dear friends, I hope you understand this concept. What is point P and what are the coordinates, and what is x coordinate, what is y coordinate. So the other name of x coordinate is abscissa and the other name of y coordinate is ordinate. What is ordinate? Okay, understand? So what is the distance between the point and the vertical line, which is called as x, means x coordinate, means abscissa, and the distance between the point P and the horizontal line means this is what? This is the y distance, and it is also called as y coordinates or ordinates. So my dear friend, this is the concept of coordinates. This is the concept of what? Coordinates. Okay, so I hope you understand these things. Okay, so now my dear friends, points may be here, points may be here, points may be here, points may be here, points may be here. So you just have to understand the concept. Okay, so here is, in this case, this distance is what and this distance is what? Again this is what? So my dear friend, this is y distance, this is x distance. Okay, so but you have to understand the sign convention. Okay, so let's see that. Yes, here is, now if you see in this, we know that quadrants of coordinate system, we are going to study about the quadrants of the coordinate system. So my dear friends, here is, we know that this is what? This is our axis. Okay, this is what? This is axis. This is x-axis and this is y-axis. This is y-axis. Okay, so my dear friends, I hope you understand these things. So these coordinate axes are perpendicular to each other, or what? These coordinate axes are perpendicular to each other. Okay, so my dear friends, these two coordinate axes divides the Cartesian plane into four quadrants. Okay, so what are these quadrants? So my dear friends, this is first quadrant, this is second quadrant, this is third quadrant, and this is fourth quadrant. Okay, so I hope you understand these things. So what is quadrant? So my dear friends, these two perpendicular lines, okay, this is x dash, this is y dash. These two perpendicular lines divides the Cartesian plane. This is what? This is all the Cartesian plane. So divides the Cartesian plane into four equal parts. Okay, I hope you get this point. So this is the first quadrant, this is the second quadrant, this is the third quadrant, and this is the fourth quadrant. Okay, so now my dear friends, let's move on. Yes, so now my dear friends, let's see the sign convention in the quadrants. Okay, so we know that my dear friends, these coordinate axes divide the Cartesian plane in the four quadrant. This is first quadrant, this is second, this is third quadrant, and this is fourth quadrant. Okay, now in the first quadrant, this is x-axis, this is y-axis, and this is what? This is positive x-axis, this is positive y-axis. So we can say that in the first quadrant the sign should be positive, means x coordinate is positive and y coordinate is also positive. Okay, now if we talk about the second quadrant, in the second quadrant, my dear friends, here is, this is negative x-axis, and this is positive y-axis. So the coordinates are minus plus, means x coordinate is negative and y coordinate is positive. Okay, y coordinate is what? Positive. I hope my dear friends you understand these things. Now if you talk about the third quadrant, in this quadrant my dear friends, this is negative x-axis and this is negative y-axis, so my dear friends, in these coordinates are negative, because x coordinate is negative and y coordinate is also negative. Okay, so now my dear friends, now let's talk about the fourth quadrant. Now in the fourth quadrant, here is positive x-axis and here is negative y-axis. So the coordinates are plus minus, means x coordinate is plus and the y coordinate is minus. Okay, so my dear friends, you understand these things. So what is sign convention? I hope you understand the sign convention. So my dear friends, in the first quadrant, coordinates are positive, means x coordinate is positive and y coordinate also positive. Now in the second quadrant, x coordinate is negative and y coordinate is positive. X coordinate is negative and the y coordinate is positive. Okay, I hope you get this point, my dear friends. Now if you talk about third quadrant, third quadrant, so now in this, x coordinate is what? X coordinate is negative, and y coordinate is also negative. Y coordinate is also negative. Okay, so my dear friends, if you talk about the fourth quadrant, in the fourth quadrant, my dear friends, x coordinate is positive and y coordinate is negative. X coordinate is positive and y coordinate is negative. So from this you can observe that here is positive positive, negative positive, negative negative, and positive negative. Okay, now my dear friends, one thing is remember that you have to remember one thing is that the first part is always the x coordinate and the second part is always the y coordinate. It may be positive or negative. Okay, so it doesn't matter. So first part is always be x coordinate and the second part is always the y coordinate. Okay, so this is the method to represent the coordinates, okay, as I told you in the previous slides. Okay, yes. Now my dear friends, now the next topic is Cartesian coordinates of a point. Cartesian coordinates of a point. So my dear friends, let's suppose consider a point P. Okay, consider a point P. Okay, so now here is this point P is what? Is the coordinates x comma y, having the coordinates x comma y. Okay, so now my dear friends, here is the R point and here is the S point. So now my dear friend, this distance OR, so the distance OR, okay, is called the x coordinate, or abscissa. Okay, as we know very well, and the length of line segment OS, this line segment OS, this is equals to what? This is equals to y coordinate, and we can say it is also called ordinate. Okay, so this is we already discussed in the previous slides. So now my dear friend, for any given point, abscissa and ordinates are the distance of the given point from x-axis and y-axis respectively. So my dear friends, the position of point P is given as like this, So my dear friends, let's suppose take a point on the x-axis, then clearly the distance of the point from the x-axis is 0. Okay, so the distance of the point from x-axis is 0. Thus the y coordinates or the y ordinate. So the y coordinate or the ordinate of every point on the x-axis is 0. Okay, so the coordinates of a point on the x-axis is given as, means it is saying that the coordinate of a point on x-axis is always x comma 0. Let's suppose this point, if you talk about this point, the coordinate of this point is always x comma 0, is what? Is always x comma 0. Similarly for a point on y-axis, a distance of a point from y-axis is 0, that is the abscissa is 0. Hence the coordinate of a point on y-axis is always like this. Let's suppose this point. If you talk about this point, the coordinates of a point on y-axis is always 0 comma y, 0 comma y. So my dear friends, I hope you understand these things. Okay, so now let's talk. If you talk about this point, okay, this is 1 2 3 4. Okay, if you talk about this point, so this is what? This is x coordinate is 0 and y coordinate is 4. If you talk about this point, this is 1 2 3 4. So if you talk about this point, so this is what? This is x coordinate is 4 and y coordinate is 0. Okay, so this is the concept of Cartesian coordinates of a point. Cartesian coordinates of a point. I hope my dear friends you understand these things. So now my dear friends, we have a note like this. So what are these? So my dear friends, first important note is that if x is not equals to y, if x is not equals to y, then these coordinates like x comma y is not equals to y comma x. So these coordinates are not equals. Okay, so this will be equal if and these coordinates x comma y is equals to y comma x. This will be equal only if x is equals to y, only if x is equals to y. Okay, I hope you understand these things. Now second point is, my dear friends, the coordinates of the origin are the coordinates of the origin coordinates of the origin are always 0 comma 0, always 0 comma 0. Okay, so now my dear friends, I hope you understand these things. Yes, so now my dear friends, let's see the applications. So what are the applications of coordinate geometry? So my dear friends, first application is that the coordinate geometry concept is used in route map, okay, so the coordinate geometry coordinate geometry concept is used in route maps. Okay, now second point is, my dear friends, it is also used to locate the position of aircraft in the sky. What is it? Is also used to locate the position of aircraft in the sky. Okay, my dear friends, so I hope you understand these things. Yes, so now my dear friends, let's move on. Yes, so now my dear friends, so the next topic is coordinate system types. Okay, so my dear friends, the most commonly used coordinate systems are, first is number line, second is Cartesian coordinate system. Third is, my dear friends, polar coordinate system. And fourth one is cylindrical and spherical coordinate system. But my dear friends, here is in our syllabus is only just we have to study about these two coordinate system. This is in syllabus, and these two coordinate systems. So my dear friend, these two coordinate system are not in syllabus, okay, in this class, but but these two coordinate system you will study in the higher classes, in the higher classes. Okay, my dear friends, I hope you get this point. So these two systems, okay, these two systems, okay, we learned in the previous sections. Okay, these two, number line and the Cartesian coordinate system, in the previous sections. Okay, and we will see the more details in the next lectures. Okay, we will see the more details of the Cartesian coordinate system in the next lectures. Okay, and these two coordinate system are not in the syllabus, so you will study in the higher classes. Okay, so my dear friends, I hope you understand the concept of Cartesian coordinate system or coordinate plane coordinate systems. Okay, so my dear friends, this is enough for today, and we will meet in the next lecture with the next amazing topic. Okay, so thank you very much for listening me, and take care and goodbye.